Okay, everything is good. So, dear student, once again, very good morning to all of you. Hope you all are doing well. Today, we are going to discuss about 30th August, the Hindu newspaper analysis. So, here, the first important question, how you can get this PDF? You can simply scan this QR code to download our application. In that application, not today, all the past PDF are of this newspaper in a highlighted version already available. You can get it from our applications. Then those who are using iOS and iPad device, you need to download PKR MJ to get all these things. And dear student, you can scan this QR code to download our Telegram, to join our Telegram group. There you will get a lot of MCQ daily questions based on the current affair we are also posting. चलिए start करते हैं. So GDP growth weakened to 5-quarter high of 7.8%. So I think despite the majority of the prediction agency including RBI, they are expecting, they have predicted that Indian economy is going to grow a little less, but our projection is quite high. If you look into last 5 quarters, so you will see that it is growing very 7.8 in April to June 2025 quarter, faster in 5 quarter, beating the expectations. So however, after Donald Trump imposed tariff 50%, rupee crashes 9. So that means it is going to be our import is going to be costlier. So that means our cost increase. So it's good for our export. So rupee fall to the 88.09 against the US dollar, responding to the additional tariff imposed by the USA. So domestic currency may depreciate further 89 to 90 rupee. This is what said by the analyst. Okay. So so Indian economy growing at 7.8 in the first quarter. So good performance by the sector like manufacturing, construction, and government service data shows. So even the RBI said that this year growth, RBI predicted that our economy should grow in this year 6. Is the growth are quite high. So let's see. Repeatedly say that Indian economy is a dead economy and an imposed tariff 5% penalty for buying Russian oil. So after that, against the backdrop of trade-related uncertainty with United States Prime Minister Modi ji said that our economy is going to be what Donald Trump is saying without having any facts. So addressing India-Japan Economic Forum Tokyo. So Modi ji talked about how India is acting as a bright star in the gloomy sky. So that means it is a welcoming for the Japanese investor. They can come to invest in India so that they can not only double or earn profit, they'll multiply their profit. So Japan announced a price trillion yuan. So over next year in India, and last in the last 2 years alone, there has been private investment of 13 billion. So if you look into all these things, so we can see that Japan is the largest, fifth largest FDI source of FDI, providing lot of developmental assistance and funding to also. So the promising destination for their India is a promising destination for their investment, and 75% are said already they are profitable. So our prime minister said that in India capital does not just grow, it multiplies. So if you are investing in India, your capital will not just grow, it will multiply in 3 times, 4 times. So that is the potential of India. So dear student, you can join our answer writing program. You'll get mains answer. Next is 8 state propose a cess on the sin and luxury good above the proposed GST rate of 40%. So I think you know that already we are imposing GST on multiple slabs. 18% and 28%, and merge this with one is about 5%, the next is 18% and 40% to simplify the tax rate. But state are saying that they need to impose additional cess on this 40% that is covering demerit good, so that the additional amount they can given to the compensation if any revenue loss of state happen, that can be paid. Okay, so so non-BJP rules state to submit note to the GST Council during meeting scheduled in the September 3rd and 4th. So GST Council meeting is going to be held 3rd or 4th September. One, that the center GST rationalization proposal could reduce the revenue by 15 to 20%. So the state government, they are saying that by rationalizing implementation of reform, so their revenue could reduce by 15 to 20%. So they need to be compensate. So a group of 8 states has proposed a cess on the scene and luxury product. That means already we are taxing 4% plus a cess. So this cess amount is going to be compensate in case of any revenue loss because of this reform that we are going to implement. Without such cess, so revenue loss from the center proposal, trade rationalization, they will estimate at least 15% of loss to the state. And if you look into, state is having very less revenue, but on the other hand, union government is having the direct taxes and other taxes, and the disinvestment proceeds are they are getting, but state is having very less number of tax, so they are depending on the GST. Any loss of the GST going to impact the state revenue. So that is the reason they are in vocal about state need to compensate. So that is the reason they are proposing we need to impose a cess above the 40% tariff, so that this cess amount is going to be compensate any loss for next 5 years. Center has proposed removing the 12 and 28 slab and moving majority of the slab to 5%, 18% respectively, and propose 18% for the sin goods. Sin goods are sin good is also called a demerit good, like tobacco, cigarette, gutka, while high value cars, high end services such as business class, first class flight tickets are categorized as the luxury item, where 40%. So first and foremost concern is that severe impact of the state revenue. So I think already I have told you, state are highly depends on the GST for their revenue, but union government, they have a lot of source of revenue, direct tax, corporate tax, tax on the export also, import also. So they have a lot of sources. Okay, so states depends heavily on the GST. Their principal source broad revenue basis, substantial flow from the direct taxes, dividend from the public institution, custom, excise, cess, so surcharge. So these are the large source of revenue for the union government, but state are not having that much of broad revenue basis. So that is the reason they are expecting their union government to compensate any loss for implementation of the GST. So if we are rationalizing or implementing the reform, because we are moving majority of item from 12% and 18% to 5%. So between 15 to 20% of the loss will happen to the state government. So such a revenue shock cannot be absorbed by the state without drastic reducing developmental expenditure. So that means if GST revenue is reduced, so state might reduce their developmental expenditure, which might impact the human development index and education, health and nutrition. So that is the reason they are demanding they should be compensated for compensation for the 5 year with 14% annual growth rate. Okay, so this is what they demand. So just read it, you'll understand. So next is Kerala proposed moves to hike. Kerala opposed the move to hike the GST on lottery. So Kerala government opposed to improve the tax on the lottery to 40%, because they are believing that by imposing, currently it is imposed 28% to 40%. This would serious consequences over 2 lakh lottery agent and vendor, those who are depends on there for their livelihood. So that is the reason they are opposing. Kerala in other South Indian states, so they are heavily depends on the lottery also. So currently lottery to 40%. So that is what led to the impact, business outcome also. So dear student, you can join our mentorship program by scanning this QR code. You will get high quality mentorship. चलिए चलते हैं at the end of the page. So first one is about the Reliance Float AI subsidiary for deep tech Mul Geo IPO. Recently the Reliance or Geo is entering into the big technology or AI. So that is what going to be establishment of Indian AI. So Reliance Industry Limited has floated AI subsidiary Reliance Intelligence to focus on AI infrastructure and deep technology. So this news company is conceived with 4 clear missions to house India's next generation AI infrastructure. The Reliance Intelligence with build gigawatt scale AI ready data center powered by green energy and engineering for training and national scale. So that is what they are planning. So work has already begun. Gigawatt scale AI driven data center in Jamnagar. The new company will house global partners. Reliance Intelligence will bring world best technology company open source community together in Reliance deep domain expertise, and they are going to strengthen. Okay. So we can say it's a good initiative because Reliance is entering into the AI domain, and that is what going to be development, rapid development of our AI sector also. So platform delivery, the platform decry the Jharkhand gig worker welfare contribution goal. So recently, the Jharkhand passed a bill to provide welfare of the gig worker. Gig workers are, the contractual and platform worker. For example, I think Zomato, then Swiggy, and Urban Club. So the worker working there, they are called gig worker. They are working in a platform. This is a platform, and they are connecting with the client. Here it is client. So there are so many client who need service to the agent through this platform. So these are called platform or gig worker. So according to the social security code, so it is proposed that all the gig workers should be provided some sort of social security. But Jharkhand platform best gig worker bill is facing some pushback from the Internet and Mobile Association of India, because so many people are opposing, because they are planning to create, so which count several gig worker platforms such as Zomato, Uber among its members. So bill run contrary to the social security code. So we have codified 44 labor law into 4 labor code. Labor, one of that is labor code on social security. Labor code on social security, then labor code on industrial relation, labor code of industrial health and hazards. Okay. So in that code on social security 2020 benchmark contributions to social security by gross revenue instead of payout to the worker. So here it is fixed that the platform have to contribute some certain percent of their gross revenue instead of the payout to the worker. So that is what they are concerned. So bill, they are saying that if company is getting some profit, some revenue, out of that revenue, let's say 1% of that gross revenue should be paid out, rather than whatever the employees are, more money need to be sent by the company. So that is what their concern. Second one is bill was passed August by Jharkhand legislative. On the one hand, the concern raised by the is exclusion of the platform company from the current structure. Now you can make a good legislation whenever everyone, like gig worker, government, and the platform themselves need to be set, need to be party to this social security bill. But under this, it is not everyone is party to this bill. So that is what the concern also. Without collective representation of all the section of the gig ecosystem, including the industry, board decision making, raise being the incomplete and disconnected from the market reality. So that is what the problem they are saying. So object to levy. So strongly objected bill levy 1 to 2% of annual gross revenue as a welfare contribution. Total revenue of a company, let's say Zomato or Swiggy, they are, let's say, having 100 crore revenue, 1 or 2% of that is 1 crore to 2 crore revenue, rather than, let's say, out of that they are paying 30 crore to the gig worker. So they are saying that here we have to 1 to 2% of the gross payment to the worker, not the gross revenue. That is what their opposition. So strongly objected to bill levy 1 to 2% of annual gross revenue as a welfare contribution, calling them mandate financial burden on the platform company, because they are saying that platform company are operating with a thin margin. So if we are imposing higher amount of money, that is restricting their investment in innovations. But at the same time, they have to also understand these workers are working for themselves, so they need to be provide the social security also. So the industry measure, so the major industry body for platform worker, NASCOM, has opposed the provision also. Even the NASCOM, that is the service sector uh, regulatory body, is also opposing. So next important article is US government will lift, USA government must lift the tariff. Farrell said that. Recently it is not about the India, all over the world everyone is opposing unilateral tariff or unilateral sanction being imposed by the USA to get more concession. So recently the opposition is also coming from the Australia also. So Australia is facing 10% tariff, so expressing confident over hurdles in comprehensive economic agreement. So already we have signed ICTA, economic cooperation trade agreement with Australia. We are already having Indo Australia ICTA, but we CETA, that is comprehensive economic agreement negotiation, that is been going on. If it is going to be happen, so that is going to be win-win for both, because both countries we are facing threat of sanction from the threat of higher tariff and other restriction from the USA. So both are looking forward to ensure faster implementation of the trade deal. And you already know that India is going to be a booming middle class by 2030. You can see about. So this is a good opportunity. We can negotiate and get good trade deal from all over the world. As people living standard is increasing, demand for high quality food, wine also increase. So that is what Australia is looking for. And we see fantastic opportunity for Australia in terms of its agricultural product. So sharing a rare earth. So I think India is need to be grow rapidly. We need to scale up our manufacturing. We need to scale up our renewable energy. For that, we need rare earth minerals. And already we have seen how China is controlling and blocking the rare earth minerals. So to overcome this problem, Australia can be a natural partner. So adding Australia wanted to help India in its net zero transition. So country willing to share its minerals, critical minerals, rare earth with India. We have world largest or second largest reserve of all these critical minerals. We want to share our good luck with people of India. So that is what they are very open for India also. So same thing about the uranium also. Even Australia is supplying our uranium and they are ready to supply if any country they are complying with the international norms. So that is what you can say, sometime, problems, all the problem create a lot of opportunity. For example, USA is imposing 50% tariff. So because of that, India is pushing its negotiation. We might have free trade agreement with multiple countries. So if that tariff is not there, we might not negotiate and sign that free trade agreement. So I think sometime problem might come in a disguise. It is going to be problem, maybe a blessing in the disguise. So we have FDI at 4-year high in the June, net FDI fall by the 50%. So gross means, how much amount of FDI total entering into inbound FDI. So if you minus inbound FDI to outbound FDI, so that is what called net FDI. So though our in FDI or gross FDI at 4-year high, but net FDI fall 50% because lot of investment we are doing at the international level. Lot of investment they are taking. Those who have invested, let's say 10 profit back to the country. So that is the reason net FDI is reduced. So while gross FDI, that is direct investment into India, grow 4-year high in June, the net FDI contracted more than 50% owing to faster growth of repatriation. Repatriation means taking money back to their original country, foreign company in India, and out investment by Indian companies. For example, other industry, they are also investing in outside also. So gross investment in June, but no need to go in detail. So I think so you can say the gross inflow into India, which measure the total amount of entering to the country, stood at 9.3 billions in June. So nearly 22% compared to the 7%. Will get a new law, that is 88.09, responding to tariff, additional tariff. So with imposition of a lot of additional tariff, like additional 25% tariffs, total tax. Reason once they are realize RBI don't, they go. So if currency market, so RBI may intervene, but we are believing that RBI is not going to intervene because once they realize RBI do depreciate when foreign exchange trade sell appropriate when they buy, there is more demand. That is what. So when demand for the dollar, so that is what led to dollar fall and rupee rise. So now, so to because of the tariff, so we have to purchase more dollars. So that is the reason. So there, in case of depreciation of the rupee, because if depreciation of rupee is happening, so it is good for our export and making import costlier. And at this moment, we want to make our export more, competitive. So we are high. It is high chances that RBI is not going to intervene so as to impact of so export currency naturally make export cheaper as value buy dollar from the India become cheaper. So further So both there the analysts also expect that our rupee can further depreciate to around 90 rupees. So US trade policy continue to pose downward risk. Yes, so if we are not able to find any solutions to this tariff war that is being going on, Donald Trump is imposing, so it might fit there is a decline of our growth also. So that is what it is observed. Okay, so no doubt currently our growing are very robust, but there are threat of our downgradation of our risk, downgradation of our growth if we are not taking good steps. So persistent uncertainty related to Indo-USA trade policy continue to pose downward risk. This is what said by the Reserve Bank of India. So inflation outlook is benign. That means not that dangerous. So domestic economy activity remain mixed across this gaining. And though our kharif rain is good, our agriculture is good, coupled with our macroeconomic stability is also very good. But still we have to find a solution, because a significant portion of our export is driven to the USA, and significant number of people are depends on the export to the USA. So in case of any disruption, that is going to impact our export also, na. So dear student, recently we have started our OPSC guidance program. You can scan this QR code to join our OPSC interview guidance program. So this is preparation. So next is NABI reaffirm commitment to security in Indian Ocean. So I think you Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. This is what started by to promote emerging leaders. Panel discussion under Indian Ocean Naval Symposium was conducted at Southern Naval Command in Kochi. So delegation from the 19 member country participated, providing inclusive platform for young naval leader to exchange idea and deliberation in Indian Ocean region. So this IONS is a leading platform. They discuss what kind of step we should use or ensure peace, security, stability in this region. So the opening session examined the strategic importance of the Indian Ocean region and challenges from the perspective of young officer, focusing on maritime trade, security, climate change, geopolitical dynamics, innovative solutions safeguarding Indian Ocean region. So I think these are the few area of their collaboration. So already UPSC asked a multiple question from Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. It is started in 2008. So this is being the role of AI-enabled systems, cyber security, reconnaissance, and space-based surveillance in maritime operations. So, how we are going to ensure the use of advanced technology to make our, the navy or the trade in ocean more prospect to everyone. The future role of IONS, Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, fostering collaboration towards maritime security with emphasis on interoperability, joint exercise, professional exchange. So conducting harnessing training in capability among the IONS countries. So future roadmap addressing pooling resources. So these are the few initiatives. Just remember that already they have already asked multiple question on the IONS. Okay? So this important article is talking about, while government is promising so many things, it need to implement. So women biotech scientists await fund for research. So already government is committed, but they are not providing. Almost 5 months after being selected for the Department of Biotechnology BioCare program, initiative by the Department of Biotechnology to encourage women scientists, none of the 75 chosen candidate have received fund promise nor their salary. So this is what we need to implement whatever we are promising. So Department of Biotechnology under Ministry of Science and Technology has running BioCare program since 2011. So BioCare program is started since 2011. So if you look into, a doctoral woman researcher selected under the program, they'll get 60 lakh grant for 3 years. That include 75,000 monthly salary from 2020 to 2024. So we have seen annually around 50 women they are getting benefit under this program. So this year, though government has selected, so they are not getting any benefit despite repeated written to the ministry. So that is what we need to be very much concerned about. So what really hurt is delay. So whatever maybe we are promising, we need to deliver that, we need to implement that, particularly in terms of research R&D, because our R&D spending is hardly 0.75% of our GDP. If we are not implementing everything what we are promising, so then the you can see manpower they are going to shift to foreign country. Later on we are claiming that brain drain is happening. Brain, there is a very good quote: brain drain is better than brain in drain. Brain drain is better than brain in drain. So if we are making brain in drain, so people brain drain. So next is plea side bias against the Bengali speaker. The Supreme Court seeks government response. So I think you all know the post Pahalgam attack. The government issued directions to find out all the Bangladeshi nationals or those who are from Myanmar, and we need to send them back to their original country. That is what led to the discrimination among the Bengalis people. So generally, police believe that those who speak they are Bengali, they are Bangladeshi, and they nab them, they are arrested them, they are creating harassment. So that is what led to, you know, that is what led to the Supreme Court case filed by an NGO. So we need to understand that we cannot discriminate solely on the basis of language. We have to follow standard operating procedure. We have to respect that. There are also allegations that, some of our BSF also pushing some of the Indians to the Bangladesh also. Later on, they have to return back under the direction of the High Court also. So we should ensure that there should be proper rule of law. There should be proper due process of law before sending anyone to the other country or any other country. So that is what we have to follow. No doubt we have to detain and send all these illegal migrant to their original country. I'm not denying that, but it should be in a human process. It should not be very harsh. It should not be led to the, it should be wrongly sending one persons to the other country. So heavy rain leave 5 dead and 11 missing in Uttarakhand. So I think we already know. You can see the image. So because of landslide, this house is buried under this debris. So repeated rainfall is happening in the Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir because of hill slope. I have already discussed multiple occasions. So here it is the rain bearing wind is when coming. It is forced to rise off rapidly. That is what led to the formation of the cloud and heavy rainfall. When rain is falling under here, and when we have cut all these trees, so that is what led to the water and landslide. So that is what buried everything that is under the valley. Let's say this is a house at the bottom, so that is what going to be buried under the soil. So that is the reason this region are very much prone to the all this disaster. So 5 people died and 11 missing after torrential rain wreaked havoc in the several part of Uttarakhand. So Indian Meteorological Department issue orange and red alert different place in the Himalaya. So one more important news. So government appoint Urjit Patel as IMF executive director. So already I think you already know about the Urjit Patel. So former governor of RBI. So government has appointed former Reserve Bank Governor Urjit Patel as Executive Director at International Monetary Fund for a period of 3 years. So he'll replace the KB Subramaniam, whose service terminated by the government 6 months ahead of its 3 year tenure. So termination took effect on April 30th. So I think India is part of the 4 country constituency along with Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. So total in IMF there are 25 director, that is executive director or EDs, elected by member country or group of countries. So India, so there are 4 country grouping. India is heading. So I think in PCS or any other examination they can ask about this type of question. So dear student, we are providing Odisha specific. The test series also, OPSC test series also. You can check that by scanning the QR code and join our application. We are also providing Odisha specific current affair. You can get that also. So Bihar SIR, that is Special Intensive Revision Drive, Supreme Court to hear plea extension of deadline to September 15. So many political party, they are requesting Supreme Court for extension of the deadline for filing the claim of those whose name have been removed. So 65 lakh people name are deleted from the electoral roll. So they need more time to arrange this document to file the count. Next is Russian president set to visit India. So you already know that Russia is a time-tested friend of India. So with more trade tension between India and USA, and recently we are purchasing huge amount of oil from the Russia, and India is also depending on Russia for our military hardware. I think you already know during Operation Sindoor. So S-400 is going to played very important role in future also. We are also negotiating for more trade and defense deal also. So Russian President Vladimir Putin pay an official visit to India in December. So the ties grow further closer in the backdrop of USA imposed sanctions. So Putin will be meet Prime Minister. So in China, that is what SCO summit going to be happen in China. So they will meet. US President Donald Trump imposed tariff on Indian good as punishment for New Delhi massive purchase of Russian oil. So due to our purchase of Russian oil, so additional 25% tariff is imposed on the India. So Ukraine Western allies have sought Russia to cut export. The European Union and USA, they want to put pressure by cutting the Russian oil supply. But India is categorically stating that we are following our national interest. We are not going to listen to any other countries dictates. It is our national interest, so we are following the purchase of oil from the Russia. Okay, so if you look into 40% of our oil we are importing from Russia, and because of there is a Russia Ukraine war, so the Russian President Vladimir Putin currently facing the war crime by the International Court of Justice. But India being not the member of International Court of Justice or International Criminal Court, so we are not obliged to arrest the Putin. So if any country is facing war crime and by the International Criminal Court, so then if that country is part of this International Criminal Court, so Criminal Court can request the arrest of that person whenever this person is visited to that country. For example, let's say I am showing X is a country and it's a part of International Criminal Court. And if International Criminal Court declare that Y is a person committing war crime, so if Y visited to X country, then X country need to arrest the Y country and hand it over it to the International Criminal Court. So that is what the provision. But India, being not a signatory, we are not bound by this law to arrest the Putin and hand it over to the International Criminal Court. So next important article is Supreme Court returned to full strength of 34 judges. So Supreme Court is having total judge strength is 34. So with appointment of 2 judges, so I think the Justice B.R. Gavi on Friday. So to Alok Aradhe and Bipul M. Pancholi. So recently appointment of 2 judges, total strength of Supreme Court judges increased to 34. So his appointment process witnessed a rare dissent. So I think Justice Nagratha recently resented because the Justice Pancholi was ranked 57th in the All India High Court judges and on the basis of seniority. So he was appointed by superseding so many judges. So that is the reason he has given his dissent judgment and wrote that appointment should be counterproductive to administration of justice and that credibility of collegium were at the stake. So I think this is what a argument you can give. Recently, the appointment by superseding so many judges raised the question about independence and the criteria that is being followed by this collegium system. The collegium, by majority of 4.1, they have appointed 2 judges. So that is what led to the judges' strength is increased to 34. So I think you need to also understand the Pancholi is going to be the Chief Justice. Yes. So the Justice Pancholi in line to be Chief Justice under India. So until his retirement, so he's going to be Chief Justice in 2031 and going to be resign in 2033. Okay. So chaliye next important article. Let's see. So Supreme Court noticed to center over plea to make Ram Setu a monument. So I think you already know. So if you look into, so this is Sri Lanka and here it is called Adam Bridge. There is a bridge that is being located here. It is called Adam Bridge, and the then Congress government, they have started a planning to construct Setu Samudram to connect, to provide shipping connectivity in between these two regions. Setu Samudram have to provide connectivity or shipping lanes to the here. Now all our ship travel like this, so that is what led to the lot of wastage of the fuel also. But this region is called as Ram Setu also because it is traditionally or culturally believed that Ram used to visit across this to the Sri Lanka. That is what they declare it should be heritage and it should be protected. Supreme Court on Friday issued a notice to the Center for petition filed by former Rajya Sabha MP Subramaniam Swamy seeking directions to the Cultural Ministry to expeditious decision to the presentation of Ram Setu monument as a national importance. Okay. So if you look, Ram Setu is also called as Adam Bridge. So limestone swells between Rameshwaram of the coast of southeastern coast of Tamil Nadu and Mannar Island. So it is Sri Lanka. So there is a project that is being started by the UPA government. It is called Setu Samudram Shipping Channel Project by the UPA government. But later on, it is not being completed because of opposition. Because so many people's religious belief and cultural belief is associated with it. So to protect that, so to protect that, Subramaniam Swamy filed a case in the Supreme Court also. So the pact with Tokyo to advance low carbon technology project. So I think recently our Prime Minister visited to Japan. So there we have signed a lot of agreement, agreement to make our economy green. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi visit Japan and signed memorandum of cooperation on Tokyo for first of its kind joint credit mechanism. For example, let's say Japan. So here it is Japan. Japan can invest some project in India in, let's say, solar energy, wind energy, solar wind. So because of that, it can able to reduce the emission reduction. Let's say able to reduce the 100 million tons of carbon emission, and that 100 million ton credit will given to the Japan, because Japan is able to reduce that. So in this way, Japan is able to achieve the Paris Agreement target. So joint credit mechanism, Japanese initiative, whereby country implementing investment low carbon technology in developing country and resulting saving in the emission are credited to Japan account as a carbon credit. This can be used to meet national emission reduction targets. So in Japan it is very difficult to meet because cost of development is very high. Same amount of greenhouse gas reduction can happen in India at very low cost or fraction of the cost. So that is the reason they are following. So joint credit mechanism will encourage the flow of investment, technology assistance, including technology transfer and capacity building of India. So that is what going to helpful for the developing country as well. So I think if you look into India's NDC, intended nationally determined contribution, will have to make 45% of reduction in our emission intensity by 2030 and 50% of our electric power from non-fossil fuel, that amount to the 50 gigawatt also. And we need to also reduce our carbon emissions 2.5 to 3 billion tons, and we'll also have to be carbon neutral by 2070. So these are INDC of India. So with this collaboration, so we are going to helpful to achieve this objective. So India and China must collaborate for stable world economic order. Yes, I think this is what the biggest message. If both India and China with having population around 2.5, not 2.5, I think 2.8 crore population. So around 40% of the population. If you combine the GDP, it is I think around 30-40% of the GDP. And if both country unite, I think world will listen to us. For that, what we need trust, we need cooperation, we need to solve our dispute, border dispute, we should avoid the bullying, avoid playing the zero sum game, we need to be move forward with the good relation. So amicable ties amid two largest nations on the earth have positive impact on regional and global peace prosperity. This is what said by the Prime Minister. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday said that it was important for India and China to work together to bring stability to the world economy order. Yes, so to advance bilateral tie from a strategic long-term perspective based on the mutual respect, interest, and sensitivity. So Modi also asserted that stable and predictable, amicable bilateral relation between India and China is very essential. So positive impact on the global and prosperities. Yes, this is what we need. So recently, our Prime Minister is visited to China to attend the SCO summit. So they are going to have interaction with the Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, and with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So Modi said that BRICS alliance India was actively engaging in working towards benefit of the global South. So India is exploring all possibility to explore and cooperate with the global South. Global South is a concept, countries of developing country. They are basically located on the southern part, but they are not always the southern part. Okay? So India attaches high importance to its engagement with BRICS, which has emerged as a valuable forum for consultation, cooperation, and help promoting mutual understanding on specific issues, common interest, and emerging economy. Okay? So India, China taking advantage of slumming Indo-USA tie. So this is what said by the Congress. Congress is criticizing that China is taking advantage whenever we are having problem between India and USA. So they are saying on the one hand during Operation Sindoor, we have seen how China is helping the Pakistan in countering India. Now whenever our relationship bad with the USA, so it is taking benefit of that. So next important article is its clear indication of frustration of the Donald Trump. So recently, Donald Trump, there are, the officials they have criticized India of oil money laundermat for Moscow. Moscow, that means Russia use its oil to sell international market by using India, so that India oil can be sold in European Union. So that means India is acting as a laundermat for converting the oil of Russia into money, and that money is funding Ukrainian war. So that is what the USA official is accusing, but they themselves forget that it is USA is also doing lot of trade. So after the war, even the trade between USA and Russia is also increased multiple times. So a day after claiming that Ukraine conflict was Modi war, so White House advisor accused India of being oil money laundermat for the Kremlin. So if India were largest democracy want to be treated like strategic partner of USA, it need to be act like one. So USA teaches us the value of how we are going to behave. So they have to first understand, because of their weapon supply, their double standard, 62,000 people have been died in the Israel. So here there is no question of human right. So US tariff on India, 50% tariff recently imposed by the Donald Trump, 20% tariff and 20% penalty. So India is big oil lobby, turning largest democracy into world into a massive refining hub and oil money laundermat for the Russia. So that is what they are accusing. So, dear student, recently I think a very shocking incident happened. So, Nikhil Bhatti trial by fire. So, I think I'm just summing it off. If you look into marriage happening for 9 years, so despite repeated request about inform about harassment, so parent told that you need to adjust. So, escalation trigger. So, I think you need to understand how what happened. So, what are the social factor? How law is dealing with the this kind of dowry. So, it's I'm just summing it off. So, please read it. You'll understand. Okay. So repeated instances we have seen all over the internet is happening. So why this is happening? Because of societal pressure. So and the societal pressure, it is believed that if one person is taking the dowry, other person is also taking dowry, and in case it is taking years to fight, and ultimately very late to convict the those who are involved in the crime, and legal loopholes are also there. So we need to strengthen everything to ensure that there should be strict punishment. So next, an unstable world energy sovereignty is the new oil. So if you look into India, we are the fourth largest economy. We are going to be third largest economy. To ensure sustainable growth of our economy, what we need is sustainable energy. So 85% of our crude oil and 50% of natural gas we are importing all over the world, and we know that all these oil rich regions are prone to the conflict. So that might be led to the disruption, that is what going to be impact our economy also. So recently I think you already know around 30 to 40% of our oil we are importing from Russia, but that is so India's merchandise import is around 677 billion. Out of that, 170 billion is only about the crude oil. So that is 25% of our import bill. So causing significant exchequer, and it is also making our externally vulnerable for any sort of problem. So I think you already know during Israel and Iran war, so there is a point where we expect that the oil price can be increased to 103 barrel also. That is what inflation point. So we need to learn from all these issue, and instead of relying on single issue, we need to diversify. So few steps that we can, a few instances in the past where we have to understand how any flashpoint can change the energy equation. So first one is 1973 oil embargo. So Arab nation they imposed sanction, the embargo against the US access to the oil and its allied. So that is what led to the rapid rise in the price of oil. That is what create the energy security also. So I think in 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster. So that is what led to the with emission rising due to increasing coal and gas use. So nuclear energy regained favor. So after the Fukushima disaster, so everyone moving away from the nuclear disaster. So at that time they are focusing on the oil and gas. So that is what led to the more pollution. So again focus is shifted towards in favor of nuclear use. So in 2011 Texas freeze, extreme cold froze the gas pipeline and disabled wind turbine in energy rich Texas. So that is what led to the we have to understand we cannot rely on any one sources. We have to diversify. We have to rely on multiple sources. Recently, Ukraine and Russian war also led to the India depends on 40% of oil, and also the European Union depends 40% of the gases on the Russia. So that later on Russia weaponized that gases. So that is what led to the European Union suffer a lot. So Iberian Peninsula blackout, Spain and Portugal suffer grid collapse due to over reliance on the intermittent renewable energy. So over dependence on the wind, solar in the Spain and Portugal also lead to their grid failure. So these are the few lessons we have to understand in this world, and we have to take steps to overcome that. So some of the few steps that we can take. So first one is coal gasification. So we have huge reserve of 150 billions of tons of coal reserve that we need to gasify, so that gas can be used for production of syngas, methanol, hydrogen, fertilizer. That is what going to be helpful for us. Second one is India is having a bio agricultural country, so we have a lot of biofuel or biogas, a lot of biomass that can be converted to biofuel, so that our farmer will be get most return. So 92 crore to the farmer. So if we can, you know, we can implement it, then a lot of money we can give directly to our farmer with implementation of ethanol 20 on the horizon. So annual income to the rural economy may grow further. So next is, some of the scheme implemented by the government, sustainable alternative towards affordable transport, satat. Then compressed biogas, so clean. So these are few steps we have taken, so we can implement further. So third is about the nuclear. So we can go for nuclear energy. Currently, our nuclear energy capacity is very low. So we can go for small modular reactor. So we can go for small modular reactor technology. They are very small, easy to assemble, and that is what led to the rapid scaling of our nuclear capability. And fourth is about developing green hydrogen. So then only we can reduce our dependence on the fossil fuel. So next is about the pumped hydro storage plant. So I think you already know in 2024 they have asked a question on the pumped storage power plant. So pumped hydropower durable proven. So that is what going to be provide lot of supply of power until a new. Okay. So this is what the learning from over dependence of oil and gas, so we can overcome by implementing this policy. So I think this can be a very good question. So if there is a question on what kind of step India should taken to overcome over reliance on the oil or oil stocks, so just simply write this 5 point. So it's a very good point. Okay. So next important article is talking about detoxifying India's entrance examination system. I think you already know that in our Indian's examination or entrance system, too much of pressure we are putting on the students to study rat race and just to rote learning, like parrot learning. So huge amount of student, around 70 lakh students are changing for the few seats. So that is what led to the excessive pressure. They forget everything and suicide also. And at the end, it is being the coaching institute they are getting benefits. So that is what led to the bigger question. We need to reform our education system. Why? At the first place, people are entering into this coaching industry because at their school, college, they are not being properly teach the subject. They are not properly explain the subject. So we need to uh, treat the root cause. Okay, root cause, and we have to identify. We have to ensure that system. Those who have failed, they need to provide more opportunity also. But the opinion here expressed, I'm not agree with that opinion. So you can read it, but basically you have to concern about how psychological pressure we are putting on our students. So next important article is rational response. India has opted level-headed action in wake up of US tariff. So I think if you look into Donald Trump imposition of the 50% tariff and repeatedly bullying India, despite all these things, India has taken very mature stand. We are in favor of negotiations to finding settlement. So that is what we need to have. While at the same time we need to prepare ourselves for facing any kind of problem our sector. For example, majority of our sector that is importing a lot of item to the USA are micro, small, medium enterprise. So we need to prepare. We need to prepare them so that they can face all these issues. Okay. So calm before the storm. So fallout from the probable job loss need to be addressed. Yes. So I think you already know. So because of imposition of the 50% tariff. So and that is include 25% tariff, additional tariff on the purchase of Russian oil. So that is what lead to the our economy may face huge hit. So we need to prepare because most of the sector they are job labor intensive sector. So we need to provide moratorium loan, we need to provide emergency loan, we need to provide the liquidity also, so that they can overcome it. And in the medium to long term, we need to diversify our export market. We need to explore more different market in the Japan, China, so that we can export it outside the USA also. So dear student, this is all about 30th August, the Hindu newspaper analysis. So dear student, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to our channel, and please do share this video with your friends so that more number of students can benefit from it. So dear student, we'll have to end here. Chaliye, bye bye, take care, have a good day, bye.